Hey everybody, Tony D with a late night rant. Couldn't sleep, drank way too much iced tea today. I'm pretty wired. And Lil Jones asleep on the couch. So I thought I'd get into it about this whole Ben and Jerry's thing. And I wanted to clarify my position as if I was some, diplomat from an important foreign country or something. Um, but Ben and Jerry's is basically boycotting Israel over the Palestinians, right? And over the settlements and whatnot. Now, I've been a longtime critic of the Israeli government and their handlings of things. I think they're headed down the wrong path. Eventually, they're really painting themselves into a corner, I feel. But I'm not in control of Israel, so what do I know? But the thing is, this whole Ben and Jerry's panic, as they put here, the absurd Ben and Jerry's panic is no laughing matter. It is part of a chilling campaign to stifle free speech here in the U.S. and to delegitimize all protest of Israel's illegal occupation. From Daniel Larson's, whose full article is on Substack. It's a bit hyperbolic, but true. I mean, I don't think the government here, except with the exception of the anti-BDS laws, boycott, divest, and sanction laws against Israel, they're not really trying to actually stop this. At least with regard to Ben and Jerry's. So Ben and Jerry's is just, as I said in my rant where I laughed at them, they really stepped in, right? It's one thing to be woke and all about race and gender and blah blah blah. It's another thing to step onto the world stage and actually make your company, throw your company in the middle of this very complex issue. Um, the settlements are legal under international law. It's a big friggin' mess. But Ben and Jerry's boycotting Israel isn't anti-Semitism or terrorism, as the Israeli government might have you believe. It is their yet another protest from an ice cream company that, in my view, shouldn't really be protesting. I mean, if you make ice cream or anything and you want to be, your choice is: are we political and are we not political? If you're not political, that's fine because you just make ice cream. No one expects your ice cream to be political, right? We don't expect you to be political either way. We don't expect you to have, you know, perfectly medium sensibilities or extreme on either side. We just want you to make delicious ice cream, as Ben and Jerry's does. But now I can't eat it, not because of this, but because they're woke. I mean, I was bailing on Ben and Jerry's when they went woke because I don't want them supporting Black Lives Matter. I don't want them talking about these stupid topics or critical race theory, anything like that. Critical race crunch. I want them just to make their damn ice cream. And now that they refuse to do that, I've already boycotted them before this. But, the fact that they're stepping into the Palestinian issue doesn't really change my opinion, even though I kind of agree with them. Israel, the government, should probably be boycotted or encouraged to stop the settlements because they take the Palestinians' land and it's a big mess. Now, the people who are pro, I'll say, settlement, they think, no, it's our land, it's holy land, they're getting money, blah, blah, blah. It's a very complex issue, and you have to understand that the people of this region have been fighting over the same patch of dirt for like hundreds and hundreds of years. Libertarians would just say, we're out. Do what you want. And that would be it. We wouldn't send people money on either side of the issue. And I'll remind you, too, that Trump seemed to have things settled. They seem to be heading towards peace simply because of that, right? If you could have a settled issue, if Trump gets back in, and it goes back to the way it was, they don't send money to the Palestinians anymore, and now you don't have any rocket bombs. Maybe you still have settlements, but you don't have any rockets. At the very least, you have peace. Is that better? Yeah, I think that's better. Now, it doesn't mean Palestinians won't still be in a bad position. They probably will be. But what's worse? Is it better to have rockets going back and forth, and the Israelis come in and take the land, or maybe at least one part of that equation is gone, the rockets, and yeah, it sucks that people are getting kicked off their land, but at the very least they're alive. At the very least, we don't have bombs going to and from. And when there's more peace, there's more of a chance that the international community will step in, hopefully, and say, well, this is too much. When you see Hezbollah or any of the factions in Palestine, shooting rockets at the Israelis, they're not sympathetic on the world stage. But if they were, essentially unarmed, it would be more likely that the world stage would say to Israel, no, you can't do this. You can't keep doing this. We have to come up with a better solution. And again, the better solution, I pitched a few of them. I said the Israelis could come here. The Palestinians could come here. Either one. We're America. We have plenty of room. And that would be, I think, a good use of our room. Whether or not it would solve much, that's up to debate. I don't think people would take us up on the offer. Maybe the Palestinians would. I think most Palestinians would be like, oh yeah, go to America, sure. Although the Palestinians with a stake in the land, maybe we could work something out where the Israelis would compensate them justly, and then they could come here and just buy some new land. I don't know. But when rockets are flying, no one's going to talk. No one's going to talk. And Ben and Jerry's protest, unfortunately, I don't think they're ideologically consistent. I don't think they're going to be ideologically consistent. I think this is probably mostly just to show off in front of their lefty base, I guess you'd call it. And ultimately, I don't think anything will get done, because when they're sick of losing money, they'll turn the boat around, or they'll be sold off and somebody else will buy them, and they'll say, whoa, we don't do that. And then it'll all be over anyway in a few years. So really, what's the point of this? I don't see it. I don't see it when you're making ice cream. It's not like these guys are making weapons. If you were making weapons, it's a much bigger deal. If you're just supplying ice cream, that's not really doing much when you're cutting off the ice cream to Israel. Like, the Israelis aren't going to fold because they can't get chunky monkey, right? I don't think it contributes in any way, Palestinian or Israeli, whether or not, there's chunky monkey in the region. It's just, boycotting it is just making a statement nobody asked for from an ice cream company. It would be like your trash can suddenly having, thoughts and a voice, and deciding, well, here's all my political views. You're a trash can. Collect the trash and shut up. That's what we want from Ben and Jerry's. Make the ice cream and shut up. That's all we wanted. And look, the people of Ben and Jerry's are entitled to their opinion, such that it is. Again, I don't think it's, politically consistent, and I'm not for, anyone's free speech to be infringed. When it comes to the United States, I would like to see a more libertarian version where we just are hands off on everything, for the most part. So if you want to raise a bunch of money and get a bunch of weapons together and put them on a boat and go fight a war in somebody else's country on a particular side, that's your business. Just don't involve the rest of us, right? If you get captured and you're in some gulag somewhere, that's on you. And if you take over the country, give us a phone call and we'll see what we can work out. But, it's not our place to tell other people in other countries how they should live. But if people here want to get involved, that's their business too. If you want to sacrifice your time and money and blood and treasure to go get involved in somebody else's politics in another country, that's your issue, as far as the libertarians are concerned. As long as it's not hurting our people, as long as it's not hurting our country, we don't really care. Now, if it hurts our interest, if it hurts our country, if you're suddenly going over to China to fight for the Chinese Communist Party, well, we might have something to say about that. But, if you want to get involved in the whole Palestinian-Israeli thing, well, that's your business. And, good luck to you, because it's a big mess. It's a big, complicated mess with a lot of players in the game and very confusing rules, and nobody's sure if it'll ever end or if anybody will ever win. So that's my thought on it. My late night rant. I'm going to finish my iced tea and then probably lie awake in bed for several hours.